Hello and welcome to Wednesday Night Football on Ascent TV. My name is Tunde Koiki. Thanking you for joining us anywhere in the world where you're watching from. It's always a great pleasure to welcome you to this program. I never do this program alone. Making a return after a long time away is Bimbo Bankole. Thank you so much for joining us, Bimbo.
Man, thanks for having me, man. Good to be back. Good to be back.
We've actually missed you. Where exactly have you been, or where exactly haven't you been? That's the interesting question, because you've been almost everywhere. You are with your team. You're an American football team.
Yes.
You were touring the west coast of Africa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did that go?
The game itself was in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. That was a huge success. Big shouts out to the Cote d'Ivoire team. Great experience. It was a country and a city I've never been to, but that was a first trip, and we had a wonderful time. It was a success for the team. A close game. Very close game. We narrowly beat them 13-12.
Hey.
13-12. But the takeaway from it is it was great seeing the love and the spread of American football along the West Coast. Big shouts out and kudos to Dominic Mueller, who spearheaded this movement across particularly Ghana and Abidjan.
Across borders.
Across borders. So he's really doing a lot of beautiful things with spreading American football along West Africa. And also, obviously, thanks to the people of Accra, the people of Abidjan as well, for hosting us, for allowing us to do what we did there. But collectively, a lot of people working hard in the background. Obviously, the kids from the team, from Lagos Marines, they were good enough to not only just play, but also be young coaches to some of the young children we came across along the way. So it was good fun.
So slowly and surely, the gospel of American football is spreading across Africa. Is there a time where we might see, the sport really kick in Africa? Well,
I think it's high time that some of the significant changes will happen. There's some changes I'm working on personally myself, to make it a lot more structured and in place to where, we can hopefully sooner or later, fingers crossed, we have a league office here in Lagos, Nigeria, to build upon and make these people that really organize and understand and sponsor and finance a lot of these big teams and big leagues take us a lot more seriously. But the groundwork is what we're doing right now, which is spreading the word, teaching the young kids how to play it, and getting more interest in different states and different parts of West Africa, at least, on potential of holding clinics, workshops, and creating more teams around the country.
What format do you think that this growth might take?
Yes.
Might we see something go nationwide, probably a proper Nigerian American Football League, or should it be an African American Football League? Because as it seems, it's a really capital intensive sport.
Of course.
What if instead of having one team in Lagos, one in Abuja, one in Port Harcourt, like a national league, we should have an African league that probably has maybe 8, 12 teams, 12 franchises, that play on the regular?
That's true. I mean, I think there's two parts to it. One part that I'm actually developing now is actually a West African league, which is getting the teams in West Africa involved. And now the fun part of developing a West African league also means that if you have, say for instance, 3 or 4 teams in Nigeria, 2 teams in Abidjan, 1 team in Ghana, maybe another team in Sierra Leone or Senegal, they are still West African teams. So they will just have home bases in different parts of the different countries of West Africa. So to do that, it allows a good growth of where you have, instead of waiting for 10 teams to develop in Nigeria, you have 10 teams on the western coast of West Africa, which allows us to travel to some of these teams, play home and away games. Even if we follow, which is the concept we're trying to use right now, follow the NFL structure, which is maybe give or take, by all things work out, we end up with 8 teams on the coast of West Africa. I think that's a good start. Have 8 teams, even if 8 of the teams are 4 teams in Nigeria. As long as there are teams in the league that play consistently, maybe 2 games a year, maybe a short season just to get the momentum going and to get the interest and the seriousness of it, and most importantly to have a proper league office to where some of the interactions with all the other teams in the East Africa, North Africa, and even the NFL becomes a lot more realistic. But we're starting small for the moment. There are plans to introduce 1 or 2 other teams in Nigeria. My counterparts in Cote d'Ivoire, they're very much excited and on board. So there's at least 2 teams there that are very much on board in putting this program together. And then, like I said, Ghana is also developing as well to put some kids into play and start 1 or 2 leagues as well. So it's a slow process. It's a good process, but the good thing about it is at least there's something in place.
The problem for me, I see, it might be logistics, transportation.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Visas, traveling across Africa is pretty tough.
It is.
You never really get connecting flights from one capital city to another. Yeah. Might that be? How do you plan to overcome that? If in order to develop what you're looking at, probably a West African American football league.
Yes, very true. I mean, like for perfect example, the trip to the eventual game in Abidjan was actually by road. So the journey started obviously from Lagos here. Took about 48 hours to complete the journey from Lagos and eventually to Abidjan, stopping along the way to do a clinic in Accra, Ghana. The transportation part and the logistics is a huge challenge. But I think when we come to that point, which is why having a league makes a lot more sense, which is the sponsorship makes it easier. I'm not soliciting for someone to sponsor and say, okay, we'll put 50 children or young players on return trips to Benin Republic or to Ghana or to Abidjan. Some of the trips are obviously going to be by road, and there's a lot of thought into what we could do. Even if we pick a neutral place, where it's easier from our brothers in maybe Senegal to come down halfway, easier for the Nigerian teams to come down halfway and play, even if it's a week or a weekend of games. Those are things we're also considering, which makes it easier for someone to say, okay, we can't come all the way to Lagos, and Lagos is like, we can't come all the way there. If we pick up a central place where obviously it's still within West Africa, fortunately for the ECOWAS passport movement, many people can move around within the coast. So it'll make it a lot more easier for the games to go on. So there's a lot of consideration as to how we're going to structure it, but we want to make sure it's right before we put it out there and then run with it.
Interesting. It's very interesting. You've been up to quite a lot, but we're talking much more about American football later on in the show. Of course, you do know that the new NFL season is starting pretty soon. We'll have just a quick preview of that in just a short moment. But let's talk about football, as in soccer, really.
Yes.
Of course, plenty happening in the Nigerian Professional Football League as well. It's match day 37 games played just weekend past, and in just one more week, we will have a new champion of the Nigerian Professional Football League. And I don't know who writes the script, but as it is now, it is Plateau United who are on course to win their first ever title. MFM Football Club have already made history, the first club owned by a church in Nigeria, who are finishing second, definitely finishing second in the Nigerian Professional Football League, and they will definitely play in the CAF Champions League next season. Never happened before. A team sponsored by a church doing great things and moving on to the African continent, and it's all part of the dream of the former chairman of the club, Godwin Enakena. So it's congratulations to them. As it stands now, they cannot finish worse than second. They cannot be overhauled because they're second just a point behind league leaders Plateau United, but 4 points clear of third place Enyimba with one match to go. So congratulations to them. And of course, there's Aqua United as well, who are in fourth place, and I don't think they might make it to the continent this year. That's pretty tough for them because they were in the CAF Confederations Cup last season. And at the bottom of the table, it's Wiki Torres in 17th place, ABS of Ilorin in 18th place, Gombe United in 19th place, and Remo Stars already relegated in 20th place. As we can confirm to you today, Gombe United and Remo Stars have been relegated. But the interesting thing is that any of the teams in the second half of the table can be relegated.
Oh wow!
Rivers United in 11th place can be relegated. Katina United in 12th place can be relegated. Sunshine Stars in 13th place can be relegated. Niger Tornadoes in 14th place can be relegated. Abia Warriors in 15th place can be relegated, and Shooting Stars, the pride of Ibadan, in 16th place can be relegated, which makes for a very interesting final day of the season. And speaking about the final day of the season coming up this weekend on Sunday, I mean, who writes this script? The new, the champions in waiting, Plateau United, will be coming up against the team that they're dethroning, Enugu Rangers, at the Wang Palm Stadium in Jos. I don't know who wrote this, who drew up these fixtures, but It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And Enyimba International Football Club, if they beat Katsina United, they will definitely play in the CAF Confederations Cup for as well. Of course, Gombe United will also face Wiki Tourists. Abia Warriors also tackle Rivers United. ABS Football Club will be guests of Nasarawa United. El Kanemi Warriors will go up against MFM Football Club, who need to win away from home in Maiduguri and hope that Plateau United somehow lose at home to Enugu Rangers in order for them to win the title. The probability of those two things happen is pretty low. So if you're a betting man, I wouldn't put my money on either one of those things. And Aqua United will also play Kano Pillars. Niger Tornadoes will tackle Shooting Stars. FC Fayumba will also play Lobby Stars, while Remo Stars will take on Sunshine Stars. So it's very interesting in the Nigerian Professional Football League, Bimbo.
Looks like it's going to be a fun weekend for the final day. Since, whoever does the scheduling, that was really cool. That was really cool.
So as it is now, they're also tied at the top of the table in terms of the goal scorers.
Yes.
There's Anthony Opotu with 18 goals, scored one more goal last season. And MFM Football Club striker Stephen Ode has stuck on 18 goals for as long as I can remember. Anthony Opotu has now caught up with him. He scored 3 hat-tricks this season.
Wow.
But the interesting thing is that Stephen Ode, previous top scorer, has secured a contract with the European club FC Zurich in the Swiss League, which means he might not be playing this weekend.
Yeah?
He might not. We're not sure. But he's leaving as well, which means that for the first time in a long time, if things go according to plan, we might be tied at the top of the goal scorers chart.
Wow. How do they decide who gets the boot?
Well, they assist. Well, if you have a few more assists than the other player, then
points. Okay.
Okay. So that gives you the edge. But it might be interesting to see 18 goals apiece, which means that Mfondo's record of 21 goals scored in a single season will still get to stand.
All right.
So that's the Nigerian Professional Football League. That's really, really going down to the wire. Match day 38 coming up this weekend. But for me, the team of the season, it's a straight fight between Plateau United and MFM Football Club. Plateau United, because they're clearly the best team in the season. They scored more goals than anyone, considered less goals than anyone else. Maybe not won as many games as everyone else, but they've been pretty good. But there's MFM as well. Yeah. Remarkable story. Last season, they nearly got relegated, just barely survived. And the season after that, then they fought a close race for the title, might lose it by as much as 4 points, or even just 8 points. And, they will be playing in the CAF Champions League. It's fantastic.
Well, kudos to MFM. Like you said, the first church or religious entity that's on a professional soccer team in Nigeria. So it's great. I mean, that shows consistency. I mean, I think for them, like you said, almost relegated last year and then come close to even winning the title this year, shows that at least they had a vision of where they want to be. And they've done everything they need to do to get there. So congratulations to them. I know they probably felt like they should have won it or feel like any team, they should take the championship. But I mean, as long as they stay on track, I mean, take this. They're going to lose their top scorer, you said?
Yeah, they will lose their top scorer.
Well, hopefully they have someone that can come in and bang in another 18 goals next season. So, but other than that, it's a great season for them. And I'm sure they'll take some positives from it and build up on that next season.
Now, looking forward to that next season. For the first time in, I don't know, 15, 20 years, there will be CAF Continental football in Lagos, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had stationary stores, we had Julius Berger, teams who regularly played on the continent.
Yes.
But ever since those two teams declined, we haven't seen top flight football in continental football in Lagos for as long as, I think it's like 15 years now. 15, 17 years. The last team to do that was Julius Berger. And MFM now have brought that back. But the big question is, where do they play their matches?
I was going to ask you, where will they?
Yeah, the Agege Township Stadium is, it's not exactly up to CAF standards. It's not exactly up to CAF standards, and which leaves them with the question of having to play their matches at the Unicon Stadium, which is a grass pitch, or the Teslim Balogun Stadium, where they've never played, but might meet international standards.
Wow. Yeah.
Which would be pretty tough, if you ask me.
Well, let's see. I mean, unfortunately, we're not at that point yet where each team in our league has a home team or home field. No. Well, I'm happy that at least they're bringing some continental football to Lagos, even if it's making it happen at Teslim Balogun. I'm sure they'll figure something out. But again, congratulations. What do they say? When coming with success are new challenges. So this is a new challenge for MFM. But I'm sure they're excited. I'm sure they're excited about it. Whatever they need to do, how they need to do it, I'm sure they'll make it happen. It might be tough playing on Teslim grounds, which is foreign to them. But I'm sure they'll figure something out. They won't go down. They'll fight. They'll fight.
But still sticking with MFM, just before we wrap this part of the show up, I mean, it's a remarkable template. A religious body owning a professional football team. It's a very interesting template. Do you think that maybe other religious bodies should emulate this? Because we've seen we've seen churches also organize amateur competitions and stuff like that. The story of MFM Football Club is pretty unique, actually. They used to hold amateur football competitions regularly, annually in the church. Right. So so they used to have some really great players, and the players they take them on training tours outside the country. So at some point, the players say, you know what, we think we can do this. We have players who are good enough in this setup to play professional football. And from then on, it became something else. And we've seen what it has become right now, which is a fantastic model. Do you think other religious bodies should do it? Or do religious bodies have a business? Should they be in the business of running professional sports clubs? Not necessarily football, maybe even basketball or table tennis. Do they have a business doing that?
I think there's a market for them. I mean, because at the end of the day, as long as it's structured where the church has their own whatever they do as a church or as a religious entity, and then they allow the people that will run the sports organization, but just named obviously after the sponsors. So in this role, they're sponsoring a soccer team. So I think it's a good venture for them and for all the religious entities in this country. The biggest plus from it is they're actually employing a lot of young, talented football players that might otherwise not play anywhere else, or not even play football. They might otherwise be out on any streets in Nigeria doing anything other than playing football. So I think looking at it from a religious point of view, I think there's some kind of obligation to providing for youths of today, even if it's not preaching, at least allow them to explore.
That might be a problem because some of these clubs will be owned by religious bodies who want to use that to spread the gospel.
That's the only thing that would be a problem.
Religion is a touchy issue in Nigeria. It is a very touchy issue in Nigeria.
If they can remove that one little atom of an issue and just allow it to be a sports organization, and then you just come in as the financial backing and the sponsorship of it, I think there'll be a huge success, and I think it'll encourage other religious organizations to also get involved. But like you said, if it becomes a vessel of sermons and proselytizing stuff, you might actually not really. I mean, I don't think that would be the way they need to go. But if they completely just separate the two, allow the sports part to be the sports part, and because you can't have a team and then say, okay, well, if it's going to be religious based, you're going to have some players that won't play on that team because of their own religious backgrounds, and that's also depriving you as a team talent
that you would not
necessarily get. So I think they need to be able to have a way to just separate the two and just let people play for the sport of it, and then you just be the organization and the power that supports and provides for these children. Yeah,
well, I think that's very well said by Bimba. I think it's very clear, but we'd like to see a few more religious organizations get into the groove as well. At least MFM, I'm sure that it is possible, it can be done. And what do we have to lose? We have everything to gain and very little to lose.
This is Nigeria. Do you have all the lands now? All these religious things. You have the lands. Don't let us list names on this road alone.
On this road, that's the Lekki Ekpe Expressway, and also on the Lagos Ibadan Expressway.
You own all the lands. Put football fields out there.
True. I know. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, well, we'll talk about all that. Religious bodies and sports. We'll talk about all that in just a few more minutes. Bimbo has been, like we said, he's been having a ball. Bimbo was in Uyo last week. watching his first live game ever in Nigeria. And what a time it was that he chose, watching the Super Eagles of Nigeria beat arch rivals, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, 5-time African champions, current African champions by 4 goals to nothing. People have been using words like destruction, defenestration, annihilation, decimation. It can go on and on, but it was a magnificent performance by the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And they nearly went, they nearly equaled that. By going away to Yaoundé and being forced to a 1-0 draw by Cameroon. Led that game and could have won quite comfortably as well. But, these things happen. But, I mean, if you told a lot of people last year that Nigeria would get 4 points off the African champions over 2 legs, they would have bitten your hand off. So that's particularly great. But let's quickly talk about all the other results across Africa before we get back to that one. Ghana is struggling to qualify as well. They played a 1-1 draw with Congo. And of course, Cape Verde Islands also came from behind to beat South Africa. Man. Tunisia overcame the Democratic Republic of Congo by 2 goals to 1. Morocco annihilated Mali by 6 goals to nothing. That's a huge result. Zambia beating Algeria by 3 goals to 1. Just keep that result in mind. Gabon losing at home to the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire by 3 goals to nothing. Senegal and Burkina Faso, 2 bitter West African rivals, playing out a goalless draw. And of course, so that was how it panned out. Time to talk American football now, and the new NFL season starts pretty soon. All the talk has finally come to a head. All the preseason games have been done. All the rosters are now complete. But the most interesting question we have right now for Bimbo Bankole is, so where is Colin Kaepernick playing?
Colin Kaepernick might as well just come to Lagos, man, and just relax.
I'll play for the Lagos Marines.
Just come play for Lagos Marines, man. We need a great quarterback.
You're joking, right?
Well, he can come and do some of his good community work. Come to Lagos Marines, play on our team for 6 months, give money back to a lot of. But no, Colin has no job. No job.
This is how long now? This is over a year now.
Yeah, Colin has been out of the team since immediately after last season when he opted out of his contract, and he has been without any job since then. I mean, no team is even. There's been some conversation where 1 or 2 teams are like, "Oh, we're looking into Colin Kaepernick," but all of that has actually just been publicity stunts. None of them are really committed to picking up Colin, and I think, to be quite honest, it all boils down to the demographics of the owners of NFL teams in the United States. But
when you say the demographics, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, realistically, I mean, there's no black or African American owner of any NFL team, and this is a young man who might be a thorn in the side of many of the white owners of the teams in the NFL, but they're not going to say that's the issue. They're all gonna. I mean, I saw some teams suggest Kaepernick wasn't necessarily good enough, but then you have people on their team that are not even as good as Kaepernick.
Hold on, Bimbo. I'm not sure what I'm hearing, but are you suggesting that the NFL ownership is racist?
Well, I mean, in a business world like that, they wouldn't necessarily use the word racist.
Okay.
They would probably say it's bad for business. And, that's really what they would say. They wouldn't say we're racist, but they would just say it's just bad investment.
That's a new way of looking at it.
So I mean, that's their excuse. It's bad for business because they look at it like he'll be a distraction. Based on his protests and who he is. Let's look at where we are now. Post Kaepernick, there's a lot of well-established, very well-liked, very talented superstars that are now protesting, doing exactly the same thing Colin Kaepernick was doing before.
And none of them has been punished.
None of them have been fined. None of them have been suspended. None of them have even been scolded. I mean, there's been some of them even protesting now. I mean, like the last week, that just about every player on the Cleveland Browns took a knee when the national anthem was being played. So these are things that post Kaepernick, who's not in the league now. Players that are in the league today, still on rosters, still playing, and now we're not just talking about one Colin Kaepernick. Now we're talking about both African American, black players and white players.
Interesting.
Protesting. I mean, we had one of the best players and one of the best ambassadors of the league, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. He even said it like, Kaepernick should be playing football. Like, he should be in the league. He's a quarterback that knows other opposing quarterbacks and he's played other opposing teams. In his mind, he's probably thinking, this team, there's a player that I know it would be fun to play against this guy or even have him in the league compared to the other people on other rosters. You know, I mean, there's been Richard Sherman, a cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks, who has actually voiced it and said, let's just call it what it is. Kaepernick is not in the league because he's black, and he's a black problem to white owners. So this is the issue that I think is needs to be addressed. I mean, there's...
So, do you think if there was a franchise,
yes,
an NFL franchise that had a black owner,
yes,
do you honestly think that maybe that owner might have taken a chance on Kaepernick? Because there would still be plenty of pressure on him as well.
Yes. I mean, the closest to that has been the situation that happened with the Baltimore Ravens, where the Baltimore Ravens chief executive, who is a black person, Ozzie Newsome, wanted Kaepernick to a certain degree. The coach, who is a white coach, also wanted Kaepernick because his brother was Kaepernick's coach when Kaepernick had one of his best seasons in his career. They both wanted Colin to be on their team, but the team is owned by a white owner. So there was this propaganda. Oh, well, we're speaking to Kaepernick. We want to interview Kaepernick to see what's best. Obviously, the owner refused. And then now they come back and address the press, and there was some sublime messages.
Did they say it was bad for business?
No, I guarantee when they had the meeting with the owner, he must have told the coaches and Ozzie Newsome, look, this is bad for business. So when they came out to communicate with the rest of the world,
what did they say?
They said it was more of like the person that makes the biggest decisions has made the decision, and we'll leave it at that. So.
I don't know what to say, but this it's a major shame, man. A major do I say a stain on professional sports?
It is
in the United States, especially really if a player is being cut or being persecuted because of his political beliefs. And it's also, from what it also seems like now, the color of his skin. So
of course.
I really don't know what to say, but. Of course, the new season will start tomorrow. All the 24 teams, all the 32 teams, I beg your pardon, are already willing and raring to go. All of them have full complements of their 53-man roster. Opening game tomorrow, yeah?
Opening games kick off Thursday, and that's going to be the New England Patriots, defending champions, are going against the Kansas City Chiefs. So that should be a great game. And then Sunday, obviously, all the other games will go live on Sunday as well. So I think this is going to be a very interesting season. Obviously, the New England Patriots are many people's favorites to repeat this year. I think it's still a bit early. There's been some very interesting new players moving into different teams. Obviously, we've got Adrian Peterson, who now plays for the New Orleans Saints. He's ready to go against his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. And then we have, a lot of our own proud and young Nigerian athletes that were, obviously drafted in the draft, that actually have made rosters of their teams now. So it'll be exciting to see some of them how they do in the NFL. I mean, we've got David Njoku, who's coming on to the Cleveland Browns, one of the worst teams last year. And even on that roster, they have 3 other Nigerian players on the team that were drafted in the last draft. So it's going to be a very good team, a very good season for the new players, and a particularly interesting one for the young Nigerians that were drafted. We'll keep an eye on those kids, on those players for you here on Wednesday Night Football, and we'll let you know how they fare going into the season. But everyone's excited. People are excited. The football, fever is everywhere around us. You name it. Everyone's waiting for Thursday night kickoff. Yeah.
What about the people of Houston? Because are they excited? Because we all know the devastation that's been wrought in that city by Hurricane Harvey. I'm sure football is one of the last things on the minds of people. But then again, sport has the power to heal. Well, and also people forget their problems as well. But let's quickly get to Houston as well. I mean, the Houston Texans might not be able to stage their opening game at home. We're not sure about that as well, because still a lot of relief efforts and cleanup efforts being going on in the city of Houston as currently as we speak right now. And we're talking a few minutes earlier on about how a lot of places were being used as shelters, makeshift shelters for people during the hurricane, during the aftermath of the hurricane. And it's so much damage has been wrought. But the great thing about American football is that one of the players in the league, certain J.J. Watt,
Yes.
started a hurricane relief fund that has gone absolutely viral.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I checked on Sunday night, it was in excess of over $32 million. I don't know how much it is right now, but it's been fantastic because everybody's throwing in their money. Their widows mite, anything from $27,000 to $10 million.
yes.
Basketballers, everybody
Everyone's
chipping in. Just to make sure that Houston gets relief.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's very encouraging to see. I mean, the good thing about Texas is that Texas is a football state.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone in Texas,
they love their football.
Live
college
for their
football, especially. I mean, the Texas Longhorns. They're famous.
So I think for one thing, it's a double-sided situation. It's a big sport for them. So you know, taking it away. I mean, I can even tell you how disappointed they were with the last preseason game where the Texans couldn't play that because of Hurricane Harvey. The opening game might be a logistical challenge as well, but I know the Texans, they're waiting for football. It's, you know, like I was saying earlier when I was at the Uyo game and how unified everyone was at the stadium. The games will definitely unify everyone, brings everyone together, allows them to escape from the severity of Hurricane Harvey for the 3 to 4 hours that the game would take. But I think if anything, if the games don't hold, you know, with the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans, I think it'll be more of just the logistics of it, because they know that their fans want the games. They know that their fans want to see this. They will celebrate it. And as we all know in the American system, this is an opportunity for someone to announce cohesiveness and the friendship of coming together to help. You know, like you said, J.J. Watt did a very amazing thing. I think his initial goal was to try to raise $1 million, and it exceeded that.
It's exceeded that by $20 million
he just kept
right now.
increasing the goal: 5 million, 6 million, 10 million. And that has been a wonderful thing. But to come back home, let's come back to Nigeria.
But it's incredible. But it's really quick. It's incredible what J.J. Watt has been doing. I mean, it's American football. I mean, one of the group of people that a lot of people have lampooned in the past of being having too much money and too little sense.
That's exactly.
They're jocks. They're this. They're that. They're usually in the news for the wrong reasons. Yes. But I mean, this is one who's actually doing quite an immense amount. Even
he is.
I mean, he's rivaling the Red Cross for the.
He is actually.
It's incredible what he's done.
You know, I mean, kudos to him. You know, him having a platform where he's got a couple million followers on social media, and that's what he has been able to use, is that platform and that position to encourage people to support an unfortunate situation like that. And you know, obviously he plays for the Texans, the people that made him rich. So you know, I think it's a way of him giving back, and I like that he's giving back in a humble kind of way. Like, okay, look, whatever little you have, whatever it is you have, let's help, let's give back, let's help. And it's encouraging to see that. And that's great for J.J. Watts, that's great for the Houston Texans organization, and also great for American football as well. You know, it actually shows, like you said, that not every one of those players are vain and just
mindless.
Mindless. So there are some players there with common sense and with heart, and J.J. Watts has shown that right now.
But you wanted to bring this back home to Nigeria,
yeah, I wanted to bring it home because, you know, almost as you know, everything was going on in Houston as well. You know, internally here we have the issue in Makurdi as well with the flooding, and not trying to say that we are not, you know, good hearts or soft hearts in Nigeria. There hasn't been someone replicate what JJ has done
Nigeria,
in Nigeria, and you know, and Nigeria been a place where you know about somebody's financial status when it's at a wedding or an engagement. That's when you know that, oh, this man has, or this person, or these are the times where those of you that have significant say or significant positions can come out and help. It doesn't matter if you have no family in Makurdi, or you're not from that area.
We're Nigerians.
Or this is where Nigerians come together and support one another.
Be your brother's keeper.
Your brother's keeper kind of thing, you know. But again, you know, it's one of the small things. Well, it's not a small thing because, you know, unfortunately, there's some lost lives and property losses in Makurdi as well. That actually helps to really put a microscope on how far back we are here in Nigeria sometimes when it comes to help, and forgetting your religious background or your racial or your ethnic background or whatever it is, and just come together, unify and help. And here we are talking about J.J. Watts, who probably doesn't even know Nigeria exists on a map.
No.
But you know, that's just where we are. So I hope, you know, any viewers out there that's watching can, you know, all you super athletes here in Nigeria, or all you Nollywood stars out there. I mean, you're the A-listers here.
Politicians.
All the politicians. You know, let's not even talk about the Dangotes and Dantatas and the Adenugas. You know, I don't know them personally, but maybe one of you has them on speed dial. You know,
why would politicians? why would businessmen politicians want to, you know, want to get involved? I'm guessing it's bad for business.
Well, I mean, it's obviously bad for business. There's no return on investment for them if they put free money out into helping people drain water and feed people that are displaced in Makurdi right now. So there's no return on investment for that. But I think, you know, if we just sometimes, I mean, I don't have their money, so I don't know, you know, what their thinking is as to why just helping
more money, more problems.
You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's so easy here. I think it's a lot easier to help than here. It would have been a huge setup. Would have a TV crew. Would have all these people. The entourage of 50 people will be following this one person. When, you know, just send rice there, send Gary, send water,
send food, clothes.
You know, send food and clothes. You don't even have to be there. You know, if you don't want people to think, oh, you're the multi-millionaire or A-lister Nigerian, do it anonymously. You know, or better yet, all those PAs that you guys carry around, send a PA to Makurdi with the stuff, and just tell the PA to go and do it, and you take your trip to Monaco and have a good time. You know, that's just it.
So speaking about hurricanes, we had another one is actually burning on the southeastern coast of the United States. Might be hitting Florida pretty soon.
Oh yes,
Hurricane Irma.
Yes.
And it's possible that it might affect the game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Miami Dolphins as well, which is also set to actually hold in Miami. So it's hurricane season in the United States now. And it might be affecting a few NFL games. So we'll be keeping watch on all of that. Any more stories from the American football scene, Bimbo? Yeah.
No, just keep viewing. We're going to start updating all our viewers on the show from next recording next week. Stats and game performances and in-game highlights, hopefully,
especially of the
Nigerian athletes that are actually in the league. So this is obviously a platform for us to actually celebrate these young players and help watch and share their career as they grow and evolve. So starting next week, we'll start sharing a lot of their stats and game highlights with our viewers. So just hang in, keep viewing, and we'll make that happen.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bimbo. Always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
And more importantly, thank you for watching. Wednesday Night Football will make a return same time next week. My name is Tunde Koiki. Wishing you a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.